On tonight's program, ladies and gentlemen, we have something that's going to make you sick.
My beautiful aliens, hello, and welcome back to the Authentically Blue podcast. I am your host, Carlson. This is editing me popping in to say this. It is currently today, 24th of February 2025, Monday, and it is 11:05 p.m. This episode is going to go live on the Patreon in less than an hour, literally right now when I finish this. The Patreon link is down below. There's a few video episodes. This one is just audio, but there's a few gems in there. This episode specifically is with my friend Raha. Shout out to you, babe. She is a lovely human being who I met in high school, and we have had a wonderful experience and beautiful friendship throughout the years. She is such a lovely soul. Low key, at some point in the episode, we were like, I'd love her as a co-host. Like, why haven't I thought of this? She is a writer, a creative, a very beautiful human being, and I have linked her blog down below, so go check it out, show some love. She is a creative writer. You will regret not subscribing to her blog. And in this episode, we specifically talk about some members of the Somali community being racist towards other people in Kenya or other communities in Kenya. And at the beginning, I made the mistake of saying Somaliphobia, which is the opposite. I didn't mean Somalis, people being like Islamophobia, people being bad to Somalis. I meant Somalis being bad to other people. She then delves into a very interesting and sad experience she had that I believe would be beneficial for people to hear, and it's an important conversation to have. We might do a part 2 on this because this one is a bit more rambly, and she was like, ma'am, we need to be on point. So yeah, we do have two episode ideas to do, but I hope you enjoy this episode and stick around to the very end because there's a few gems in here that I was like, girly, I freaking fucking love you. And I'm gonna stop rambling, so join the Patreon, show some love, and go support Raha. I hope you enjoyed this episode, my beautiful aliens. Catch you next week. Bye. Hello, my beautiful aliens, and welcome back, or welcome if you're new here to the Authentically Blue podcast. I am your host, Carlson, and in today's episode, I have the lovely
Raha. Hey guys. Aisha, it was about goddamn time. Like, it's been a long time coming. Ever since you were in school abroad, like, girl. It was about time.
We planned this since 2022. 2023.
2025.
We're finally here.
Talk about Nini.
Through patience.
Man.
Coming up with ideas, kila kitu, everything.
I swear, we've had so many topics that
I
we
would
wanted
talk about anything with you on the podcast. You want even by the end of this, I'll want you as a co-host, though.
I mean, why are you not thinking about it?
That's why I put it
Guys,
out there.
petition online. That's it. That was my gateway into your world.
You're very welcome. We would love to have you here.
Thank you so much, babes. I'm happy to be here.
It's currently 8:30 p.m. We are in one of Raha's amazing friend's house. He was so kind to host us because I was going to Raha's house on a motorbike, and when I tell you guys,
Girl.
I could not do it. The guy was like, "You're going to kill us all on this road."
This girl was shaking.
Not the good shaking, okay?
But you tried, you survived for like 15 minutes.
It felt like an eternity, but we're here.
Imagine.
Anything for
We're
my
here.
beautiful aliens and you, madam. Anything
Period.
for you. Today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to be talking about a bunch of things, starting from not Islamophobia, Somaliphobia, which is very prevalent in the Kenyan Somali culture. Not all. I hesitated because don't come for me. We're just talking about our personal experience.
Don't come for us.
Don't come for us. And then my guest is gonna talk about a personal experience she had, which I'm sure so many other people have experienced and faced and have not publicly talked about. And you're one of the strongest humans I know. From day dot,
please.
even before we knew what strong was, before we knew our mothers and grandmothers were strong, I knew you were.
Girl, not this girl hyping me out.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Period.
To dive in, growing up, how has your experience as a Somali in Kenya been? Have you seen specifically family members, people of the Somali culture, be discriminating towards Kenyans who are not Somali?
Okay, first of all, I just hope I don't blabber because I've had so much to say about this.
Oh, we love yappas. They know. That's what they're tuning in for. I am a certified yappa.
That's it, girl. That's all you had to say. So, this
That's
is
the ideal
something-
guest.
Period. And I keep saying period so much.
Gen Z,
Anyways.
okay?
Senior and Z, don't start with me. So, this is something honestly that has kind of made me have kind of like an identity crisis at some point, and it's still tough to be honest, but it's something that I'm learning as I go. So basically, in the Somali community, and like Aisha said, disclaimer, not all of us. So let not anyone come for us, tafadhali. So basically there's these stories of how Somalis treat non-Somalis like black people. And like, first of all, it confuses me because we're also black people. I don't understand the Somalis that consider themselves to be Arab
nothing,
or
nothing.
Yemeni,
or-
girl. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all human.
At the end of the day, we are all
At the
human.
all
like,
human, we all bleed red. Karibu niseme blue. This is not America and the
this
Cox.
is not Chelsea, babes.
We are Liverpool fans. We die.
Who is we?
Me and my beautiful aliens. I am a Liverpool fan.
Anyways, shout out to Manchester United.
Glory, girl, glory, fuck United.
No, girl,
I love the chemistry. Moving swiftly on.
moving swiftly on. So
So my
personally, I went through with my parents this thing of like when I was in school, it's like, oh, every morning before like this was a thing like for every morning before school, babes. My mom and my dad would be like, okay, yeah, so remember, no talking to non-Somalis, you can't befriend non-Somalis, yada this, yada that, they're not like you have your own people, you know, you come from this, you don't associate with them. And like at first, you know, being very young, in your first few years of life, the only reality you know is the reality that your parents teach you, you know, the reality that your parents introduce you into. So at first, I was like, okay, maybe, obviously I'm going to do what my parents ask of me. But then later, as you know, as I grew up, I'm like, wait, I'm the only Somali in my class sometimes, you know, so am I supposed to like not talk to my classmates, not have friends? But yeah, that was basically it. That was what the lesson was. Just don't be friends with non-Somalis, don't associate yourself. And that happened throughout my life as I grew up. And then when I became a teenager, as all teenagers are rebellious, so was I. And most of my best friends were non-Somalis. Not that I didn't have Somali friends. I am a Somalian, like people that I grew up with. Yeah, so
I do have a question for you. You know how you mentioned growing up, what you saw and being told to kind of not be friends with people who are not Somali. And kind of, how was it with other Somali people you grew up with? Was it the same? Or you guys didn't talk about it as much?
So we never used to talk about it as children. As
It was
kids,
just a
we
known
didn't
thing.
talk about it. Yeah, it was just a known thing. And it definitely wasn't all the Somalis. Like, some of them were good and like they were okay with like mixing with different cultures and traditions and whatnot. But I'm saying from my personal experience and from what I hear a lot from my friends and just stories online and stuff. Yeah.
No, because when you said that, growing up, I grew up in Kericho, which is it's full of Kalenjins.
Exactly.
Amazing, wonderful people.
Yeah.
And my grandfather, may God rest his soul, was very much talking to everybody. He's like, we don't discriminate in Islam. I grew up in a more Islamic household than more so Somali Ethiopian household because, yes, we had Somali Ethiopian food, but it was more so Islamic. Have you prayed? Have you read the Quran? Are you being a good Muslim? And so going to school, it's like my grandfather encouraged me to be in the drama club. I was one of the only Somalis in the me and our neighbor were the only Somalis in the whole school.
Girl, shout out to your grandfather.
Shout out to my grandfather. He would encourage me to like be in the debate club and experience these different things with people who are not Somali. But I do know, like, my neighbor, not to be explicit and out people, no one will probably know, but for context, they were more so like, oh, we're kind of better than them, or this, and had this. And every time I'd hear that, I would argue my grandparents and be like, oh, that's weird, because are we not servants of God? Does Islam not say that? That's why I asked you, how are other people? Because when you said that, I just remembered that memory. I was like, that is really interesting.
I mean, yeah, definitely, I get you. So, like I said, we're not all the same. We're definitely not all the same. And I choose to address this because it's something I haven't had being addressed. And I felt should be addressed, and we should accept it. As Somali people, we should accept it. Sometimes our people tend to be very racist, and it isn't right, you know.
And I think there's good and bad in all communities, and we're highlighting this.
Exactly.
Not to be the super defensive like thingy, but it's the truth. It's something I've always had an issue with.
Exactly.
It's like, we were having this conversation earlier with our friends saying, oh, if I was to bring home someone who's not Somali or Ethiopian, I usually joke, I would prefer Ethiopian over Somali.
Girl.
I know. Now they publicly know.
Girl.
However, maybe it's
let me sip some soda to that.
Go. And I'm just like, I tell my mom, hey, ASMR. I tell my mom, I'm like, hey, my mom is like, as long as one of your friends asked me today, like, are your parents not uncomfortable with you not bringing a Somali home or Ethiopian? I was like, well, I've warmed them up to the idea. They're not defensive or whatever. For them, as long as they're Muslim, because we are Islamic people, it's religious, and as long as it's a righteous man, good person, I think that's what's important.
Absolutely.
Which leads me. Wait, do you have something to add?
Yes, I do. I was gonna say something about the Islamic family values. My family definitely was also deep into the have you prayed, have you been a good Muslim, have you fasted, have you read your Quran, and actually I've memorized half the Quran, alhamdulillah. Yeah, I have 10 juzus from the front and 5 from the back. And it's something that my parents did instill in me. Girl, walini peleka some Islamic mahad.
Did you go to a mahad?
Yeah, it was intense.
When you how old?
I think how old was I? I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. So the Islamic
have an amazing
values,
radio voice. I'm hearing your voice. I'm like, damn.
girl, please. Don't make me go home and listen to myself the whole night.
Oh, I'm editing this. I see.
Yeah, so as I was saying,
You were 10 or 11?
At the boarding school?
Yeah, the mahad.
I was 13.
13, mashallah.
Yeah, I was 13. So
Man, we were starting St. Nicholas when I was 13.
yeah,
I
at
was
St.
taken
Nicholas,
from Kericho to a ghetto.
the
We were
ratatata.
hearing things we never heard of. Allah Mubarak, you were memorizing the Quran.
Yeah, wallahi. I still love to obviously remind myself and try and rememorize every time it escapes for me, and alhamdulillah for that. I'm
Yes,
glad my
Ramadan be a path
parents.
for you to continue.
I mean, my sis. So my parents were definitely steadfast with our practice of the religion. But, religion and culture are two different things. So for the religion, our religion, Islam, basically, there is nothing that says don't be friends with this group of people, discriminate, or lock yourselves in your homes and don't associate, There's nothing like that in our religion. So where does that come from? Obviously, it's culture.
Yep.
And
unfortunately, in different medias around the world, it's different cultures, whether it's Arab culture, Asian culture, and then in the Asian culture you have Asian, you have like Pakistani, Indian, you have different types of Arab, Saudi or Omar, Iraq. I think it's just interesting how culture, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
for the
it's
podcast. Culture
a whole
and
other
Islam
topic.
intertwined and
Yeah.
misinterpreted. It's like with women, we're going to touch on this. I don't know if we'll have the time or get there on this episode, but it's like when women are mistreated or abused or different things, and they mask it as Islamic.
Yeah, and they're like, but that's Islamic.
It's
like, they
not.
should prefer marry
It's
at
not.
night, like stuff like
Sorry,
girl.
on the day of judgment, God will be there waiting.
And you know, that's what I usually say. Like, they're going to see at the end of the day. That's why I don't argue with people.
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna find out for yourself. Yeah.
As long as you were raised and know, and you're ignorantly doing something. Because it's not like these ideas come from nowhere. And as contradicting as it may be, that's a whole other toxic masculinity thing. Let me just take this chance to talk about the TikTok I sent you, because it's doing my freaking head in. I don't know if you watched it.
Maybe we're getting off topic.
Okay, we'll go back in a minute, I promise. Basically, I sent you this TikTok. I don't know if you saw it, but this guy, there's two girls who are on a podcast speaking, and she said, "Oh, I went into this
I remember
thing, and one of my." And it was a bunch of, she went to a coffee shop and there was a bunch of guys who were speaking, and the guys decided, oh, can you pass me that? One of the guys was like, oh, and one of my friends wants to study. I mean, one of the guys said, my wife wants to go back to study or work.
Yeah.
And then the other guy said, impregnate her ASAP. How disgusting. I will link the TikTok down below. And she turned around, whiplash. She was like, it better not be somebody I know. And she was like, thank God it isn't.
The entitlement, the misogyny,
anyway,
the undertateness of it all. That's it for me. The undertateness of it. The bald man in the room for me, child. This is a bunch of.
It's giving inner child not healed.
It really is. It really is. It's giving I want to marry my mom, but I can't type of energy, you know.
Damn.
Yeah, because like, what you mean you want somebody like your mom? Like, oh, I want you to cook and clean like my mom. You should do this like my mom. Be a good wife like my mom. Nigga.
As Jennifer Lopez said, I ain't your mama.
I ain't your mama, nigga. And like, I think part of that like whole entitlement is what we get crossing over to the cultural entitlement, and that's what it was. That's what made me mostly angry at first before I learned how to control my emotions, because you're like, these are adults, and when you say it, like, as long as you're an adult that you have been educated about something, and like and like obviously you live in a world where you know what's going on, you know. At this point, how many people can you say genuinely don't have general information about what's happening in the world, you know? So everybody knows about phones, everybody knows about computers, like girl, well, let's not even get into the percentages.
We even have videos now, like on TikTok, doing in different languages.
Yeah,
so it beats even
like in the
literacy.
deepest of villages, exactly. So I'm like, for somebody, for
we even
adults,
have radio.
Girl, exactly. The radio
That's
reaches
changing,
everywhere.
and it has to compete with media.
Yeah, radio reaches everywhere, and there's definitely
Shout out audio.
Shout out to Kiss FM. That hey.
Anyway, Blue Radio. That's what I meant about.
Yeah. So like, I don't like giving excuses to adults. Like, if you have the opportunity and the tools to learn about something, and you're aware and you have a proper working brain, and you still choose like to be ignorant, like you said,
that's on you, mama.
That's on you. I don't associate myself with them anymore when they get to that extent. Like, it got to a point where I would argue, like really, really, really argue with my folks and my family and like people from the community about the friends I have. So it's like in high school, and my best friend, she was a Kikuyu. Shout out to you, baby girl. She honestly, she's my sister until now. Which one? Not St. Nicholas. Okay. Guys, I have to specify which high school with this girl every time.
It's the I want to know.
I went to 2 high schools, and one was with this one. So now I have to specify which high school it is when I talk about someone I went to high school with. Anyways, babes, I'm talking about shrines. Yeah, so this girl is still my sister until today. Yeah, she's been one of my biggest supporters. And I remember one of the first times I brought her home, my mom was like, oh, I don't want you bringing a dawn to my house.
She said that about me?
Not you.
Oh, I said, I was like flabbergasted.
Girl, I'm not talking about you. Is you Kikuyu?
I wish that was very
When you
hard.
are in Kikuyu.
No, I was like, do I actually not look? Do I look like I was about to be happy? I was like, how fitting for the podcast. Sorry, anyway.
No, she liked you because you're Somali and you came like
I came all dolled up in this.
all
like,
mashallah,
hijab and shit.
all good girl Aisha. So my
They're
mom
getting
was
to know
like,
Aisha in this episode, not Carlson.
you guys are gonna learn all 90 personalities of hers. Don't worry.
I am not schizophrenic. We love them.
Oh, funny of you to say that.
If you know, you know.
So, first of all, like
If you
for
listen
the
to the
people,
last episode, you might know. The heartbreak one, which is on the Valentine's. Anyway.
So my mom was like, don't bring this Adon to my house, right? And like, for context, Adon is,
Servant of God.
yeah, Adon is
Let me Google it.
an abd in Arabic, a slave. That's the I think the direct definition. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Google it, Aisha. So I was like, what do you mean? Because in the Quran it says we are all
We're all.
but we're all Abdullah, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm like, why are you calling this specific group of people that word when in the Quran we're all described in that word, regardless of race, color, height, gender.
Everything.
We're all regarded as Abdullah, servants and slaves of Allah. So I don't understand why.
What the issue is.
Yeah, I don't understand why we have to call anybody else Adon and not ourselves too.
Sure.
So I'd get into arguments with my mom and my dad, and I'd be like, you know what? These are my friends. They're the ones who I go to school with, I socialize with. Yes, I socialize with Somalis too. But
You know
like,
the amount of Somali I
if
have,
you
because you keep
guys-
saying that, I'm like, I think I have 3, and you know them all.
Really?
No, you don't know this. You know Samira?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I have 3 Somali friends in Nairobi.
Girl, that's crazy. I have a lot of Somali friends. And
You know, actually, in St. Nicholas, I had some Somali girls didn't believe I was Somali. Yeah.
No, I think for a while I didn't believe you're Somali
Really?
as well.
Really? Is
Yeah.
it because of how I behaved? Or my looks?
I don't really know. I can't put my finger to it. Maybe your looks, yeah.
You
And
gave
how
off
free
Swahili,
you are.
Arab.
This is like how kind of like free and social you are with everyone.
I was
'Cause,
a social butterfly.
yeah, at that point we were still pretty young, and I was still in the cusp of like my parents' teachings of like being meek and like not just like being out there and whatnot. Girl, I
That
wasn't
was
even
the
allowed
opposite.
to be part of clubs and stuff like that. Yeah, I know, that's insane. But yeah, that was what I thought about you, because you were so open. I was like, girl, I don't think any Somali girl is usually allowed to be like this, so she's definitely not Somali. So yeah, I think first these were
She's
just
Kalenjin.
this who
I grew up in Kenya. One second. You make me. Thank you for the kind words on me being a teenager. Let us see. I'm not in my game. Aisha, get your head in the game. Watch it, Aisha.
I
Select
got
a
you, girl.
calzone.
I get Chaleta Carlson.
Her side persona. And thank you for the kind words of me being a teenager. You know, as podcasters and creators, we love attention. I'm kidding. Anyway, speaking of friendships, that's very interesting. And moving on to your dating life, how has that been? You had any experiences?
Girl, my dating life has been insane. First of all, that aside, I have dated only one Somali guy. My parents didn't know him, obviously, because what am I dating
Is it the
for?
Senegalese?
No.
Okay.
No, and I didn't date any Somali.
Yeah, I just realized it's not Somali, I think Swahili.
Yeah, like Swahili. So I dated this one
Chiseled as
Somali guy.
mofo.
Yeah, and it didn't go well. So and it's not about I want to date this specific group of people. It's just
Who you're attracted to.
Yeah, who I'm
What
attracted
the vibes
to.
go.
Yeah, who the vibes go with. So I recently got engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you, girl. Look at the bling.
Ooh.
Ka-ching.
I am coming over to say, I told him today, tunakuja kudance. I mean, I only dance in my room.
Period. You gonna dance
Next
at my wedding?
Say less.
Yeah.
We can't wait.
Period. So,
Next is a couple vlog next Valentine's.
No, I don't plan on making my relationship that public.
Okay.
At all.
Scratch that.
Yeah.
We will just have a fun time in real life.
Girl, that's it.
The
Ain't nobody
podcast
gonna
is
know.
like booking guests for 2026. Anyway, tell us.
So yeah, I've obviously dated a couple of guys in the past. None of them worked out, but this one worked out, I guess. So he's been my friend for years, and like just last year we're like, you know what, let's do this. Like, yeah, let's do this.
And did I not call this in 2023?
You did, actually.
I was
Do
telling
you
him
know,
today.
every one of my friends is like, even before you guys were dating, we were like, when are these people just going to accept what's going on? And like, I'm glad by the time we both accepted, it wasn't too late, and it was just, I think, at the right time for both of us. Yeah. So that's not even the case, girl. It's him not being Somali.
Yeah.
With my parents and like with basically my family and a lot of the community. Guys are like, how can you date a Luya guy? Like, what's up with you? Like, you're gonna eat ugali for the rest of your life.
Ugali is African's cake, don't they know?
I know, right?
Yes. Also,
It's wheat flour.
global
Babes, it's
listeners,
healthy.
in Kenya we have 47 tribes. 47, right?
Yeah, I think.
Around 47
Girl,
tribes.
let me not
I know,
say like I'm
it's 47.
sure.
I am banking on my geography. Do not kill me. But Luya is one of the tribes, and humans are humans. He's
From
a lovely
Western
human being.
Kenya, yeah.
From Western Kenya. When I met him a
He
year
a
ago,
clown. He my clown.
Funny. I was telling him today. I said, "Yo, I better be dancing at that wedding." I told Raha, "Ma'am, with you and your fiance."
A lot of my family have said they're not obviously supporting, they're not going to support. Some family members have even said, let's never see you or you and him or you and your kids outside walking, you know. Will hate on you and like, oh, you want kids with hard hair, you want black kids. I'm like, what do you even mean? You know, for me, it doesn't make sense because my mindset is not even there. So whenever they say something like that, it really doesn't, it doesn't even
Impact you?
Yeah, it doesn't impact me. It doesn't register
Affect you
in my
anyway.
mind because what even is that? You know, that's their reality. It doesn't exist in my reality. So I just
It's very superficial
hear
and
them,
fucked up
and I'm like, you
sometimes.
guys, it's up to you. For some of them, I told them downright they weren't even invited in the first place. So yeah, for them. So other than that, I can tell that he felt bad about it. Like, I know, right?
What a beauty. We had a minor interruption. A lovely kitty.
Orange cats.
I was about to make a nasty joke. Let me not. Oh, he's coming.
A nasty little pussy.
That's what I was gonna say. Are you beating my man? We're talking about your fiance and how. So you told your family members they're not invited to the wedding, and with him, how has he been navigating it so far? I'm sure in the future it's gonna be better and a breeze.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely improved, but at first he felt super bad about it. Like he just felt unwanted. Like he was like, I remember after that first meeting he had with some of my family members, when we went back home, he was like, Kwani, what's wrong with me? Like, do I look bad? Like, is there anything wrong with being a Luya? Is there anything wrong with being black?
It's
And
so
I was like, I
disgusting.
felt so bad. Like, I genuinely felt gut-wrenched.
You
I
wish
was
you could take that away.
gut-wrenched. Yeah, and I was like, I really wish I could take that pain away, you know. So I reassured him, and just as the days go by, just reassurance of my love for him, because also at some point he's also going to doubt.
Of course.
He's also going to doubt because, and of course,
When
'cause
it's your
he's a
reality
human
around
being.
you, and
Yeah.
you're human, it's like,
Yeah, you're obviously going to have those feelings, and he definitely did at some point. He was like, so what if you turn out like that with me, or like, if anything goes wrong? I was like, no, you don't have to worry about that at all. And also, now it becomes like an extra task for me to have to show you that I'm not like,
you're not like that.
yeah, I'm not like that. So
Because it's your family, it's your blood, it's what.
exactly. So you have to go the extra mile to show other people that you're not the same. And obviously it creates more obstacles than it normally would, and a lot more strain in a relationship. But really it's just about how you handle it with your partner.
I think it's very beautiful what you shared and said, and I think it's sad that there's so many people who
Yeah.
experience this and don't know or have a way. Like today, one of our friends was mentioning how back in the day, whoa, that came aggressive, bro. How back in the day, this is I think in the 80s or 70s probably, he was talking about how
Yeah.
the development of Isli in Nairobi, Kenya, and how some people, like he had a childhood crush. His girlfriend was shipped off to Yemeni.
Yeah, just for having a
Because
relationship with an
that shows you the
Somali.
severity and how deep it is, and we're not even scratching the surface on how deep and chaotic and frustrating it is. That's one of the episode, but we're just here to enlighten people that hey, it's not okay to treat other human beings,
Yeah.
especially if you call yourself a Muslim and you're trying to be Islamic, should be accepting to all humans. There's nothing that about you that makes them better.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
that makes you better.
Exactly.
And I was going to mention earlier, that quote, sticks and stones don't break my bones, but words do, is a real ass thing.
Yeah, it is. Sometimes words hurt, man.
Well, 100%. And I always tell my mom and dad, it's like, even with us growing up, my grandmother has a thing. I've been shouting her out so much lately. I love you, okay? I'm just sharing experiences. She doesn't listen, but if family does, hey. I was talking about basically how it's very easy for people to Angalia and any attack. It's very what the fuck was I saying? My grandmother, for example, she wouldn't like what's the word? Praise me in person. She was always harsh, comparing me to other people, making this competition, and with my mom and my brothers, I'm always like,
What?
hey,
Sorry.
it's okay. I was like, hey, you're really good at this, or encouraging them slowly, or like if they have self-doubt, because it's normal as a kid or someone for you to just like experience that. This cat is being naughty. No. And I think it's very important for people to talk to people, compliment them, kind of like therapy, but to a degree of just humanness, of
Yeah.
like checking in with people, because in a talk, childhood insecurities pop out and can be formed at any point in anyone's life.
Yeah.
When people force you, be a certain way to you. But I'm sending him love. Always gonna support your fiance.
Yeah, fiance.
Rooting for the wedding. Cannot wait.
Thank you, babes.
How do you think Somalis can help stop this feeling better than thou type of vibe towards other people, other Kenyans, other humans, other beloved humans?
Yeah. So basically, I think first of all, I'm glad this new generation we're less strict than our parents and our forefathers and so on. So we're in all fields now, and we interact more, and we don't have the same Yeah, I think like us, this new generation, we're talking about it. We are doing better. We're being out there, and we're not like, we're inclusive. We're including ourselves with other cultures. We're mixing. You hear more of intercultural marriages between Somalis and other tribes more nowadays than you used to. And I think we really just should continue with the same pace, keep educating our elders, and keep striving for more.
Do you have any idea or ways in which non-Somalis can, how non-Somalis can help this case?
I think just understanding and just listening to the positive, because the negative part of this and the racism part of all of this is definitely not what our culture is about. There's so much positivity, love, and beauty in our culture. And if there's anything that I could encourage anyone else out there, is maybe to try and focus on that and the specific friendship you have with the specific person from the Somali community and how they treat you than how other people that you don't know treat you. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I was like, my grandfather always used to say you're an ambassador for Islam and everything you represent as a person. I think that's very beautiful. Funny you said that. I also had it reminded me of another experience where someone I was talking to who's not Somali, and he was like, one day he was hanging out with a bunch of his friends, pharmacy guy. He was hanging out with a bunch of his friends, and he basically said there was a guy, Somali guy on a motorbike, and he was just like, oh, I'm gonna kill you, what you're doing is wrong. And literally a stranger on a motorbike, and they were in a car hanging out, and he's like, what have I done to you? And his friends are like, I'm gonna come for you, bro. There's nothing you can do. He's like, come for me, I'm gonna come for you. There's nothing absolutely I've done. I'm just like, the entitlement is insane.
Yeah, like
it's like, just because you see some people hanging out or doing whatever that doesn't align with your values doesn't mean that you have any right to. It's none of your business. Like, even the Prophet, peace be upon him, said in the mosques, when someone would pee, there's a man who came in and peed in the mosque not knowing, and he said, don't stop him from finishing his business, let him finish and we will continue.
Yeah.
And correct him when he's done. So you need to be really gentle.
Yeah, true.
I have 2 or 3 questions left. Flipping the table, as someone who is Somali in Kenya, and I forgot to touch on this earlier, but there's so many different types of Somalis. There's Somalis who are Somali in Kenya. There's Somalis who are raised here. There's different generational Somalis. So the people who are not, who are discriminating towards Kenyans, who are non-Somalis, could come from any of these categories. Either through generation, knowing, like how you mentioned earlier, knowing what they know, or it could be what they've known their whole life. As you, as a Kenyan Somali, have you experienced discrimination in housing, employment, or even education?
I mean, yeah, definitely. And first of all, when that happens, I don't immediately respond. I don't immediately judge, because it's kind of, it's understandable that they feel that way, that they feel scared, that they feel unsure about how to approach you, or if they should approach you, because with the terrorist attacks, with Al-Shabaab attacks, it makes it harder also for people, for other people from other communities to be friendly with us, and that is totally understandable. So what I do is basically just be myself, just talk about the positivity and like the fun part and the good things about our culture. And I have turned a lot of people's opinions around, from them thinking that Somalis are these awful, racist, violent terrorists, to, okay, maybe they're not so bad. I just haven't gotten to know them enough. And that's sort of, I think, the advice I would give any non-Somali who is maybe confused about this whole situation, is that First of all, just get to know the person themselves. Don't generalize.
See how people approach you.
Yeah, see how people approach you, and like learn, going out to ask and learning from us ourselves, because sometimes you find someone who, like, their whole lives they've just taken information from the media and the internet, and then they internalized it.
False.
Yeah, and like, let's say for example that person hasn't been like around Somali people, and like maybe the first time they're around Somali people, they're obviously gonna be a bit reserved, a bit maybe scared, or like just angry even, and that's totally understandable. But and that's valid, like the feelings are valid. It's just that the advice I would give is maybe seek out the knowledge from the actual people. Yeah,
I completely agree with you, and I think it's very important what you just said on both sides. I would say Somalis have definitely experienced racism here, whether
Yes.
it be because of Al-Shabaab attacks or whether it just be unacceptance and ignorance. But I think with all communities, there's good and there's bad. And I think it's just, as people who claim and grip on Islam, on different aspects and elements, I think it's important for them to also find important, like, hey, these are human beings who deserve to be treated with love and respect as human beings. There's nothing about you that makes you superior. I'm getting more angry. There was someone who, before the podcast, we were pointing out pointers, and he made a point by basically saying that a lot has changed. It being they're not wanting to make businesses with people who are not of their clan or didn't see any benefits of that. And even within clans, there's tribalism. Like, you just can't win.
and it's not just with the Somalis only, it's something that exists within all cultures. Like, there's always people who are going to feel like they're better than other people, and that's just the only thing that's wrong in all of this.
100%.
Yeah, it's not the culture.
Also,
it's
on
not-
top of that, like I said, being Islamic, because Islam doesn't stand for that. How do you put the hypocrisy and the thing at the same time?
without even the religion aspect of it, the fact that we are all human beings, and that's just it, whether you're man, woman, bisexual, you're Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, whatever you are, wherever you're from, at the end of the day, as long as you're a human being, you should be treated as such.
I agree.
And there shouldn't be any religion or cultural or racial aspect to it. It should just be the reason why I'm treating you well is because you're human. That's it.
That's it. Human basis.
Yeah, human basis.
Raha, it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, babes.
We can't wait for part 2 and part 3. Diving into more organized and interesting topics.
Yes.
And of course, another ramble episode. Is there
We
anything
need
you
to
want to
ramble
share?
about those guys on TikTok, by the way, like for a whole hour.
Toxicity of man, possessiveness. We're talking about it today.
Babes, the toxicity. They
It
could
is coming,
open
the
a
content.
whole... Ooh.
Maybe even video for that. Stay tuned.
Yeah. Like
I
a
always-
beautiful rooftop
Vibe.
vibe.
Like the one we had today, and I was freezing my ass off. So, previous guests always ask the next guest a question. I'm going to try and hear what they said. Okay, Raha, the last guest was Mali, and he asked you the question: if you had to cook one meal for the rest of your life, what would that meal be, and who would it be for?
Who would I cook a meal for? Why that meal?
No, he said, here and record. One second. Okay, this is with the last guest, Mali.
The next guest is, if you could cook one meal for one person in this world, who would that person be?
Yeah.
One meal
Be
for one
and
person.
why?
Yeah.
Why?
So what meal, which person, and why? Why that meal?
Okay, so I'd cook for my dad. And I'd cook for him pilau
Aww.
and chicken, because that was both of our favorite foods,
Yeah.
and he liked my cooking. and the reason why it would be him would be because he's passed away.
Yeah.
And I'd love to have a conversation with him maybe when I'm married and I have kids, and like just for him to maybe see my growth, because he passed away before I could show him that, like, yeah, I've made it in life. I've made you proud. And
But he was proud of your progress, and he accepted your person as their.
Yeah.
I think it's very beautiful. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, so like just for him to see the grandkids and like she's living happily, and then Somali has made her happy, and they're living a good life. Yeah, and just that kind of conversation with my dad.
Yeah, that's better.
Better?
Yeah. So you're saying you'd cook for your dad?
Yeah, and pilau and chicken, because that was our favorite. And he also really loved my cooking. So I would do it when like I have a couple of kids, couple of houses, couple of cars.
Yes. Not a couple of bikes.
Girl. You have PTSD. We have to do something about it.
It's giving traumatic.
Yeah.
Traumatized.
We have to take it.
You see, even the sound is going crazy now. It doesn't want to hear this.
Really? Amen to that.
Thank you for being on the podcast, girly. We love
Thank you so much for having me. I've had so much fun. I've loved talking to our little aliens.
Oh.
Alrighty,
Our
Raha.
big aliens.
Signing out in alien language.
Bye.
Bye.